Hi guys, so here we have some elements, some atoms of these elements that are going to have a chemical reaction to combine to make the compound H2O or water. Now there's a few parts of this chemical formula that we need to look at. The first thing that we need to look at is this little 2 right here. It has a very special name, and that very special name is subscript, okay? And the subscript tells us how many of the element before it that we actually need. So in this compound, H2O, the 2 belongs to the H. And so we need 2 atoms of hydrogen. When we look at the O, it doesn't have a subscript. That means that there should only be 1 atom of oxygen in this compound. And it would look something like this, okay? Now, subscripts cannot be changed. If you change the number of any particular element in a compound, you change the properties of that compound and actually make a new substance. For example, if you added on 1 more oxygen atom and made H2O2, which would look something like that, it's only 1 atom different, you would end up with something called hydrogen peroxide. It's really good for teeth whitening, it's used in first aid, but if you drink it like water, it's going to make you throw up. Now, something we can change is called a coefficient. It's usually the big number in the front of a chemical formula. If you don't have a coefficient, that means you only need 1 molecule. But in this case, we need 4 H2O. So that means we need 4 molecules of water. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 H2O. Now, a chemical reaction means that the chemical change has happened. Okay, and for example, one chemical property that we just saw was hydrogen reacts with oxygen to make water. And we can represent that with a simple word equation like this. Hydrogen plus oxygen makes water. The plus sign means that the 2 substances interact chemically with each other. And the arrow symbol implies that a chemical reaction has taken place. Almost all chemical formulas are written this way. The initial substances, the things that react, are called reactants, okay? And the final substance or substances are called products, okay? So reactants and products. Hydrogen reacts with oxygen to make water, okay? So that's one of the simple ones. These things can also be represented by a chemical formula. For example, H2 plus O2 gives us H2O, which is a way to represent the reaction we were just talking about. Hydrogen plus oxygen equals water. So we have H2 plus O2 equals H2O. Unfortunately, this chemical equation is incomplete. It's not balanced. The law of conservation of matter says that matter cannot be created nor destroyed. And in chemical equations, the number of atoms in each element in the reactants has to be the same number of atoms in the elements in the product. If we count the number of hydrogen atoms in the reactant and products, we find 2 hydrogen. But if we count the number of oxygen atoms in the reactants and products, we find that there are 2 oxygen atoms in the reactants, but only 1 in the product. So what can we do? Can we change the subscripts in the formula for water so that it has 2 oxygen atoms in it? No, we can't do that. Because remember, hydrogen peroxide? Okay, not a good choice. What we can do is change the number of molecules that react or are produced. We do this 1 element at a time, going from side to side of the reaction, changing the number of molecules of a substance until everything is equal and has the same number of atoms on each side. So when I look at this, I can see I already have 2 hydrogen. I have 2 oxygen and 1 oxygen, which means I need to get another oxygen over here. I'm not just going to pick up an oxygen and say 1 water molecule and 1 atom of oxygen. That's not how it works because we're chemically reacting here. So we need to have another molecule of water because that's the only thing we're allowed to put over here because that's the product. So we're going to add another water. So now I see I have 2 oxygen, but I have 4 hydrogen. So now this side has more than that side. Now hydrogen comes in pairs, right? So if we have 2 here and 2 here, this is pretty simple. We just put it right over there. So we have, now it's balanced. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 hydrogen, 1, 2, 3, 4 hydrogen. We have 1, 2 oxygen, and we have 1, 2 oxygen. And the way that we're going to write that is with our coefficients. We have 2H2 plus O2. Remember, we don't need a coefficient because we only need 1. And now we have 2 molecules of H2O. I'm going to keep my 2's consistent here. Okay, so that's a balanced formula, a balanced equation. 2H2 plus O2 gives 2H2O. So hydrogen reacts with oxygen to make water. But for that to happen, we have to have this specific set of things.